is a continent that now defines ourselves. In the news, Nigeria Labour Congress embarks on nationwide protest over planned removal by NAS. Across Africa, justice under pressure as Zuma slings mud at judges. On the international scene, WTO to take up India, South Africa's intellectual property waiver. In business, India tops Nigeria's export designation with 547.01 billion naira. And in sport, Ronaldo crashes out with Juventus for second consecutive season. Details shortly. Hello, this is TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I'm Osazeh Sesele, and this is TOS News 360. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) had a nationwide protest over moves by the National Assembly to remove the national minimum wage from the exclusive to the concurrent legislative list. This is coming against a bill seeking to remove the negotiation on minimum wage from the exclusive list to the concurrent list that passed the second reading in the House of Representatives on February 23rd. The Congress said the protest would hold in the 36 States House of Assembly and at the National Assembly in Abuja. A federal court in Lagos Tuesday turned down an application to vacate an interim injunction it granted last month, directing 20 Nigerian banks to block the accounts of Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, SPDC, and its subsidiaries. A federal court in Lagos Tuesday turned down an application to vacate an interim injunction it granted last month, directing 20 Nigerian banks to block the accounts of Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria and its subsidiaries. Judge Oluremi Oguntoyibo, in her ruling, also summoned 3 of the bank's secretaries and chief financial officers for allegedly disobeying the order made on February 17th. The affected banks and their officials include Citibank Limited, its company secretary Shola Fagbure, and chief financial officer Sharaf Mohammed, First Bank of Nigeria, its company secretary Irene Netima, and chief financial officer Patrick Iyamabo, United Bank for Africa PLC, its company secretary Bill Andrew Odum, and chief financial officer Ebenezer Kolawole. No fewer than 100 miners operating between Anka and Mado local government areas of Zamfara have been abducted by bandits, the emir of Anka, Atahiru Ahmad, says. Ahmad, who is also the chairman of the State Council of Chiefs, made this known in Gusau on Tuesday when the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, led service chiefs on an assessment visit to Governor Bello Matawale. According to him, the bandits also killed 10 persons during an invasion of a mining site in the state. Bandits early Monday invaded Jangaru village in Rafi local government area of Niger State, kidnapping no fewer than 30 people. Jangaru is a close village to Zungeru town, where a series of kidnapping, including that of the abduction of travelers in a Niger State Transport Vehicle (NSTA), are taking place. An impeccable source from the village told our correspondent the heavily armed bandits stick to the village on foot to avoid awareness of the villagers. It was gathered that the bandits had hidden their motorcycles far away from the village and trekked from their park to the village and rounded off their victims while sleeping. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You are watching TOS News 360. Up next is stories from across Africa in a moment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching TOS News 360. Now in Africa, a former ANC intelligence chief, Jacob Zuma, is now accusing judges of bias. South Africa's judiciary has long been held in high regard, a bulwark against the corruption of the Jacob Zuma era and the defender of South Africa's top-tier constitution. Could that be changing now? In late February, when Justice John Lupe threw out a judgment in favor of a Zuma ally, eyebrows were raised. When the former president starts slinging mud against the judiciary, the status of his bastion of due process is under threat. Moving on to the international scene, WTO to take up India, South Africa's intellectual property waiver plea for COVID-19 vaccine. The World Trade Organization will once again take up the proposal of India and South Africa on Wednesday and Thursday to drop certain provisions of the TRIPS agreement for COVID drugs, diagnostics and therapeutics until the end of the pandemic. More than 80 countries have backed this proposal, even as big pharma and high-income countries and regions such as the European Union, the US and Canada continue to raise objections. The proposal for waiver deals with Section 1 on copyright and related rights, Section 4 on industrial designs, Section 5 on patents, and Section 7 on the protection of undisclosed information under the agreement. Television journalist Roger Mudd, who was once Walter Crockett's primary substitute at CBS, died Tuesday at his home in Fairfax County, Virginia, his family said. Mudd's son Jonathan told CNN his father died of complications related to kidney failure. He was 93 years old. Mudd began his television career in the 1950s in Richmond, Virginia, but worked his way up to CBS News as a hard-hitting political reporter. His no-nonsense style was on display as the best of the groundbreaking 1971 documentary, The Selling of the Pentagon, which unveiled the public relations operations at the U.S. Department of Defense to convince Americans to back military conflicts. Health systems in most of Brazil's largest cities are close to collapse due to COVID-19 cases, the country's leading health institute warns. More than 80% of intensive care unit beds are occupied in the capitals of 25 of Brazil's 27 states, Flocos said. Experts warn that the highly contagious variant in Brazil may have knock-on effects in the region and beyond. Brazil is a threat to humanity, Flocos epidemiologist Jason Orellana told the AFP News agency. The country has recorded more than 226,000 deaths and 11 million cases since the pandemic began. Up next is business and sports. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. Now in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has financed 82 projects valued at 85.89 billion through its healthcare sector intervention facility. The projects comprise 26 pharmaceutical and 56 medical projects across the country. Also on Tuesday in Abuja, the CBN gave out grants valued at 253.54 million naira to 5 researchers to develop vaccines and drugs for communicable diseases, including coronavirus. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, who spoke at the awards ceremony in Abuja, stated that over 286 proposals from the general public were received, and so far 68 proposals have been evaluated, out of which 5 proposals with significant merits valued at 253.54 million were recommended by the experts for financing. National Bureau of Statistics has disclosed that India accounted for 17.12%, which is 547.01 billion of total merchandise exported in Q4 2020, followed by Spain with 13.38 billion, 9.81%, and South Africa with 256.65 billion, which accounts for 8.03%. The information was obtained from the NBS Foreign Trade Report posted on its website. The report also revealed that other designations on the list include Netherlands with 194.5 billion, 6.09%, and the United States with 117.36 billion, accounting for 5.33%. Nigeria, however, imported merchandise worth 1.68 trillion from China in Q4 2020, which is 28.28%, followed by imports from India worth 506.01 billion, accounting for 8.54%, and the United States worth 448.64 billion, accounting for 7.57%. Moving on to sports, the first set of quarter-final tickets for this season's UEFA Champions League was secured on Tuesday night by FC Porto and Borussia Dortmund. Both ties were nail-biting affairs until the last second, but Juventus, with Cristiano Ronaldo for the second straight season, crashed out in the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. Porto came to Turin with a slim 2-1 advantage, and they had a dream start on Tuesday's second leg as Sergio Oliveira put them in front from the penalty spot after 19 minutes. Juve's already tough task was Juve's already tough task was thus made more difficult as they now needed at least 2 goals to force the tie into extra time or 3 goals of an outright win. South African businessman Patrice Motsepe, chairman BRICS Business Council, addresses the media on the upcoming BRICS Summit in Sandton Town today, Peak Mountain. South Africa billionaire mining magnate Patrice Motsepe will be crowned the new president of Confederation of Africa Football on Friday, March 12, 2021, in a tame end to tumultuous weeks of campaigning. The 59-year-old Motsepe, ranked by Forbes among the richest men on the continent, has been anointed as the new head of African football after a deal brokered by FIFA President Gianni Infantino. And moving on to basketball, in commemoration of International Women's Day, the National Basketball Association (NBA) and the Basketball Africa League has announced the launch of several initiatives to advance gender equality and economic inclusion across Africa. The initiative builds on the NBA family's collective efforts to advance equality and social justice in the United States, including the establishment of the NBA Foundation and the National Basketball Social Justice Coalition last year. In Africa, the NBA's and BAL's efforts will focus on raising awareness of gender-based violence, supporting girls' education, and growing female participation in basketball at all levels. Neymar will not be available for Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League decider with Barcelona after failing to shake off a thigh injury, the French champions said. In a statement, PSG said the Brazil forward Neymar will continue his individual training, saying that a new assessment will be made in the coming days. The 29-year-old had begun training with the squad again last week, but will not return in time for Wednesday's last 16 second-leg clash with the former club at the Parc des Princes. Neymar has been out of action since mid-February after picking up the thigh injury in PSG's French Cup victory over Cyan. And that is TOS News 360 on your digital first Pan-African network. For more updates, visit www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV. I am Musa Zeh Isesere. Thank you for watching.